Chad, we thought Eric Martin was a done deal on Monday. He had some momentum. How did we get from that to Wes Miller?
Yeah, I don't know that it was ever a done deal. I think there was some momentum with Eric Sunday into Monday. He's the first guy to have a second interview. Some numbers were exchanged, but I don't think they ever really got into like, here's an offer, full scale, going back and forth. And then into, Tuesday afternoon, you started to hear a lot about both Wes Miller and Ryan Peden. Ryan Peden, the assistant at Ohio State, Wes Miller, the head coach at UNC Greensboro. And those two names really over the last probably 30 hours, those were the two guys that their names were most consistently coming up, along with a couple others. And they had, by today, those two had risen to the top of the pack. Wes Miller was a guy I didn't really necessarily know if he would be a guy that had interest in the Cincinnati job. He finished second for the North Carolina job behind Hubert Davis. He was a 3-year player at North Carolina under Roy Williams. He won a national championship. Most of his career has been in North Carolina. So I didn't know that he necessarily would be a guy that would be open to the Cincinnati job, but it turns out him and John Cunningham apparently clicked, and the Bearcats have a new coach.
How will a Tar Heel guy through and through play here in the place where you got to be able to recruit?
Well, recruiting the area has never really been that much of a strength just because it's such an impossible area to recruit. Ohio does not produce a ton of, not like it does in football, where there's football, you've got 20, 30, 40 guys every year that are high level Power 5 type players. In basketball, there's 2 or 3 elite guys a year or high end guys a year, and another 5 or 6. And you've got Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana, Purdue, Butler, Notre Dame, Louisville, Kentucky. There's a lot of mouths eating at the trough. So I don't think it's a terrible thing. Miller has proven really good as a recruiter in North Carolina, where there's a lot of high major talent. Also in Georgia, where there's even more high major talent, and has started to make some inroads in Texas towards the end of his UNC Greensboro career. So he's going to open up some avenues that, Cincinnati has been pretty good in. There's a guy that played for the Bearcats a couple of years ago from North Carolina that was pretty good. So Gary Clark was his name. Yeah. You can go to North Carolina and find a couple Gary Clarks. Wes Miller's going to be fine at Cincinnati.
Good point. When Eric Martin's name was at the top of the rumor mill, got a lot of support. You have the pulse of Bearcat Nation with the Bearcat Journal and all your connections with the program. What do you think the reaction is going to be from a fan base that seemed to love that choice?
Look, I get this is Cincinnati. Everybody loves, Pete Rose and Bob Huggins and Boomer Esiason and Sam Weish, and they would bring Sparky Anderson back from the grave in an urn to manage the Reds right now if they could. So I get the nostalgia and wanting to get the 92 team, back together, if you will. But for me, hire the best coach. And I give a lot of credit. I was critical of John Cunningham as the John Brandon process was playing out. I give a lot of credit to John Cunningham because we had a lot of quality names. He was really thorough in this search and landed on Wes Miller. That to me, that makes me believe he felt like Wes Miller, of the people he talked to, was the best guy. And really, in a coaching search, winning the press conference is nice, but winning the games, you play to win the game. Like that to me is the most important thing. And if he felt like Wes Miller was the guy, then hey, Wes Miller's the guy. And apparently, this is where I also give Cunningham credit. He talked to 3 current and former head coaches during this coaching search for advice. Mick Cronin, Bob Huggins, Roy Williams. That's doing your due diligence, Gary. That is doing your due diligence and making sure you get it right.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how big a factor you think Roy Williams is in this, even though Wes wasn't chosen to replace him, but he is a huge advocate of Wes Miller.
From what I heard, there could be a new season ticket holder at Fifth Third Arena for this year. Like I said, Cunningham and Roy Williams talked. There's a quote from Roy Williams in the press release that was just put out by UC, making Wes Miller official. So I think Roy Williams is going to be around. I don't think he's moving to Cincinnati, if you will, but I'm sure he's got enough money to catch a flight to Fifth Third Arena anytime that he so desires. So I think that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool little secondary piece of this. Is one of the great coaches in college basketball history might now has spent some time around the UC program.
What an endorsement. We'd all like to have that when we go in for an interview with Roy Williams, a Hall of Famer, backing us up. I know he's young, rated one of the top coaches in the country under 40 by ESPN, but
number one
number one in the top coaches under 40 by ESPN. But if he's so great, why has he been at Greensboro for 10 years?
I think it was kind of a slow burn to get Greensboro ready to go. That's when he took over, that was one of the worst programs in America. They were down around 300 in RPI and KenPom. I mean, they were dreadfully bad. And it took him a couple years to really get that going. It wasn't until year 6 that he had things rolling. And in the past 5 years, he's been hot. He's reeled off 25 wins a year on average. He's made 2 NCAA tournaments in the past 4 years. I think there probably was some concern about him being strictly a North Carolina guy. And we haven't seen NC State or Wake Forest or one of those, secondary jobs in Carolina open up for him to get. So, I think that was kind of, the slow play on the slow burn on him on why it took so long. But if you look, he's one of the most highly regarded young coaches in the country. And if you can get him in here and get him a chance to get the ball rolling, I think you're in a great spot if you're Cincinnati.
One quick follow-up, Chad, about the recruiting. If you can do what he did at UNC Greensboro in the shadow of Tobacco Road and build a team with those guys right next door or across the street, that says something about the caliber of player he's able to bring.
Yeah, I mean, when you're winning at that level, your talent evaluation is elite. Your ability to go out and identify players and find players that fit your system, find players that fit what you want to do, all are, something you have to specialize in to build something the way that he built it. So this is interesting because a lot of people talk about, he's all North Carolina. He's got the North Carolina, but the only place in the country that's like this is where he's from. Because you have, like I mentioned, you have Ohio State, Kentucky, Louisville, Indiana, Butler, Purdue, Michigan State, all within, a 3-hour drive of Cincinnati. Well, guess what? You've got to deal with the same thing in Greensboro, where all the good donuts are picked before you get to the store, and you gotta kind of decide which way you want to go. He's had to deal with that before, and he's fought some of those battles. And I think that can be a really good life experience, coaching experience for him coming into this area.
We know when you can get a donut reference in, it's pure gold for you.
I'm gonna work in whatever I can. You got to keep it entertaining, Gary.
And congratulations on breaking it and forcing them to quickly schedule and a release within an hour of your report.
Thank you, sir. It was, this one was fun. In the past, I was spoiled because I had Bones' right-hand man, Brandon Sosna, I've known since he was 11. So I've always, for the past 8 years, I've always had the inside, this is exactly every night. Brandon and I would talk at 10 o'clock at night during a coaching search, and he would tell me what happened that day. Cunningham didn't talk at all. Right. It was a dead silence. So I had to grind this one out, which was a lot of fun. I'm messed up. I love this stuff.
Well, you're great at it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chad.
All right.
I know you're a busy man. I know. Thanks, bud.
All right. See you guys.